Welcome to today's New Life Live podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by you. Your donations make this podcast possible. Please consider donating today using the New Life app, visit newlife.com, or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, welcome to New Life Live. Glad you're with us here. It is Monday before Thanksgiving. Got a couple of things for you. One, how to survive that Thanksgiving meal with people that might be a little difficult, but also, I've got this for you. Dr. Jill Hubbard and Milan Yerkovich. Hey there.
How you doing, Steve? Good to be with you. And
good to be with you.
I am so delighted to Happy Thanksgiving week to you.
Yes, and to you, Dr. Jill Hubbard.
And to you, Dr. Jill Hubbard, he's saying
yes,
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hi. Thanks, Steve.
Hey, how are you?
Rushing around, but good.
Yeah, well, that's the way it ought to be. You know,
Yeah.
We don't want anybody going too slow.
Yeah, I got a lot of people coming for Thanksgiving.
No, not on Thanksgiving week. You got to go fast.
So here it is.
And be
a lot of
anyhow.
you, you need help. You want help. You call. You listen. You call for help. And if you want to join us, we'll be in the studio 2 hours. 1-800-229-3000. But here, right now, these are the words that you need to survive Thanksgiving. First thing, number one, and really I think this is a minimal level that everybody needs, no matter how difficult or wonderful or lovely your family is. Number one piece of advice, don't choke. Don't choke. We don't want you to have to use the Heimlich or anybody to have to use it on you. So you want a Heimlich-free holiday. That's really what we're looking for here. So number one piece of advice, don't choke. Second one is don't poke. You don't want to provoke somebody that you know is kind of fragile or might be out for blood. So you want to be sure
that's a
you
good one.
Don't choke.
Don't poke.
Don't provoke. No, that's
provoke.
not good. No, don't provoke or poke. Either way, you know. And careful when you joke. That's always important. You don't want to, offend anybody. And that's really easy to do. Don't toke. You don't want to be smoking marijuana during Thanksgiving because that could
live well with the relatives.
Combine that and the tryptophan for the turkey, and you could die. So we just don't want to choke. Don't poke. Careful when you joke, and don't toke. But here's the thing. I want to give you the ultimate tip for Thanksgiving. When you're with people that kind of push your buttons, it's going to happen or whatever. And this is the only original thing I've ever come up with, and it's called amused detachment. So rather than get involved in the triangle of drama, you just sit back, watch them do what they do, and kind of be amused by it. Be an amused observer versus an angry participant in the drama that they're trying to create. Because here's something we know. When you go see a real-life drama, there's energy, there's excitement to be in the room with drama. And a lot of people, that's kind of what they do. They're feeling bad, down. They create the drama because it's in the drama that they feel new energy and new kind of life.
Yeah,
so
aliveness.
Don't engage with it. Yeah, don't engage.
It's negative
at all.
aliveness, for sure.
That's right.
Okay, so I saw a commercial yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe this, but it was for turkey gravy that had cannabis in it.
No way.
It was It was on TV. It was cannabis turkey gravy that you could mix in to the family
to
meal.
mellow out your family members?
Mellow everybody out. Now, I'm not recommending that at all, Steve, but this fits with your thing. You don't want to poke, provoke, toke.
As my mother would say, what is this world coming to?
Oh, my goodness.
Can't
I'm
we
serious.
Just
it was
have
on
a
TV.
drug-free Thanksgiving. All right. 1-800-229-3000.
Could you pass some more gravy?
Yeah, that's
the wine was not a problem. It was the gravy.
Smoke the turkey, not the marijuana. That's our motto around here. We'll be back right after this.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here, and I really think a lot of you, your Thanksgiving will be totally different just for that, because of that previous segment. If you need to hear it again, you can go on the website, newlife.com, or the app at the App Store.
We are not
all
recommending
available to
it.
you. No, that's
We're
true.
lamenting the decline of our society.
Yes.
That is true. All right, let's go. Well, how about we talk with Ben? Ben has called us at 1-800-229-3000, and we're glad that he has. Hi, Ben. How are you today?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing well. How about yourself? Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
so
well, good.
Okay. So I've been. It's kind of been a long journey, but I'm in a place where I'm looking to enter a dating relationship with one of my best friends. However, it sounds like she's not ready for that yet. Fortunately for me, God's called her into a period of singleness, so I don't have to be anxious about any competition or anything like that. But I was listening carefully when we had dinner last night, and I've figured out, I've been reading some books a little bit, and figured out that she might think that I'm a little bit too sensitive a person and not really that strong. So my question is, how do I win her heart?
Okay. Well, now, first of all, let me ask you about this being called into singlehood, because there are two reasons that she might have told you that. One is she's been called into singlehood, right? That's one reason. The other reason might be that she's not wanting a dating relationship with you. You know, that would be her way of saying, this is what God wants me to do, because she doesn't want to hurt your feelings, because, you know, you're a nice guy
She cares
and all of
about
that. Yeah. So that's one thing to think about.
I feel like we're really open with each other. I don't get the impression she would, yeah.
You think she would just tell you straight up, Ben? She doesn't.
Honestly, yeah, I do think she would.
Like if she didn't see a future at all with you, she would just let you know that. Meaning beyond friends.
I'm not sure. I've had my heart broken a few times. It's getting hard to tell.
Right. So, Ben, why haven't you, since you guys are so open with each other, why haven't you just said to her, hey, since we're having this nice dinner here, I wanted you to know how I'm feeling. I'm kind of feeling like I'd like us to move forward a little bit and have a dating relationship.
Right.
Because that is how you feel.
Yeah, that is how I feel. But when we were debating what are we going to eat over texting, she told me that that I shouldn't really think too much. That the place that we chose wouldn't mean anything. So that signaled to me, okay, she's not interested in this right now. So I took the cue early on. So right now I feel like, and I was listening a little bit closer to this, and yeah.
So she was just hungry, and she's like, it doesn't need to be special because we're just going to eat, right? Don't overthink the restaurant.
It's possible, but I was intentionally. I was telling her that I was deliberately choosing a nice place to eat with her, and she just said, as long as you know it doesn't mean anything. So I know her well. Yeah.
Well, but you're interpreting, Ben, you're interpreting her behaviors and her phrases to mean things. And that's called indirect communication, and where we're guessing, and we're saying, well, I'm sensitive, or I know how people are, she's my friend, so I know what these things mean. But to Steve and Jill's point, until you flat out ask somebody something, you're speculating, and you do not want to live in a world of speculation. You want to live in a world of reality. And so just the flat out ask.
I understand.
Yeah. I think that's really important, Ben.
Like when you said it wouldn't mean anything.
Yeah.
were you, what were you implying by that?
Right.
I don't want to read too much or overthink that.
Right.
Were you sensing that I'm kind of wanting more out of the relationship, and you were using that as a way of kind of telling me to back away?
A good friend right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes the opposite is another. So one thing you could do is just up front. The other way is sometimes when you're just not available all the time as a friend, and then the person misses that.
Mm-hmm.
It has a really nice effect sometimes there. Not that you're playing games, but sometimes too much availability, too much familiarity can keep you from what you're really thinking might be possible there.
Yeah, that's good. I understand how that works.
And you were saying you think she might think you're too sensitive. One way to eliminate that thought is that, well, he's actually not so sensitive that he has to have me around all the time. Mm-hmm. He's strong. He has other relationships. And so, just the fact that you said nice restaurant makes me think you're very accommodating, very pleasing.
Yeah.
Maybe go the opposite direction.
I respect her a lot.
And so if let's say you've been calling her every hour, call her every other hour. Or texting every hour, text every other hour. If you text every day, every other day. And maybe...
And don't always be the initiator.
Yes, that's right.
Let her reach out to you as well. And I'm wondering, too, since you're in a mode of saying, I'm kind of ready to be having something more. I wonder, Ben, if you could be open to developing that in your life in general beyond her. And at some point you might even say to her, you're my good friend. I'm wanting to be more desirable out there. I've noticed a few women that I'm interested in. Any pointers? Just a thought.
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of have this internal code of honor almost, and I don't want to. I feel like that could possibly break her heart in that way too, and I don't want to do that.
Okay.
That would almost break my heart in a way. If that makes sense.
Okay. Well, here's something that won't break her heart. Join a men's Bible study.
Yes. I don't know if you've ever heard of Southeast Christian Church before, but I'm going to their Man Challenge Bible study right now, and I told her about that recently, actually. So,
well, just go do something. Go with them and do things with them, and not be so available, and really can help a lot with being attractive beyond just nice.
Yeah, the other thing that Ben just did is he projected, which is non-direct communication, he projected into this woman what is going to happen to her, which is, I know before it happens what's going to happen. And that is not the world to live in, Ben. You got to live in a real adult reality world where we ask each other questions and make statements. We don't just guess.
Because it sounds like that's more like what, Ben, you would feel.
Yeah.
Versus her. And so you're dating and having a code of honor as if it were a dating relationship instead of a friendship.
So Ben, I'm just going to, Milan is like the 007 of assumption and presumption, and I think he's really helping you here with your thinking. And it's astounding, really, how much distorted thinking we can get into. And when you have distorted thinking, you don't know you do. That's why you have to be open with other folks and be open to feedback and stuff. Because, really, it's one of the biggest challenges that anybody has is to know whether or not you're accurately perceiving reality, whether you're accurately making good choices based on solid thinking. Because think about all the reasons that you could have distorted thinking. Your background, number one, what you've been through. There could be a chemical imbalance. You could literally be in a role of survival, whatever. And, so all of these things would be important.
If I might add, I just wanted to mention, that's good that you bring that up. I actually do have high-functioning autism, so that is something that affects me sometimes in terms of social interaction.
Well,
which even more reason to check things out. That's where you're going to learn a lot, Ben.
Really glad you called. I'm going to send you Every Man's Bible. I think that's going to be a great tool for you. I hope it will. And anybody else, these make great gifts for Christmas. And, a gift of any amount. We can help you find what it is that would work great for Christmas. And gift of any amount, we're giving away our calendar. We love that. But call. We've got a lot of wonderful things that you can get for gifts. Or if you go online to Amazon, be sure you do the smile.amazon.com with New Life as your charity, because all of that helps us do what we're doing here. Milan, why don't you pick another caller? And by the way, that phone number, 1-800-229-3000.
Let's talk to Sue. She's calling from Frederick, Maryland, and she listens on WAVA there in the D.C. area.
Hi, Sue. How are you?
Hi. How are you? Can you hear me good?
We can.
Yes, we can. What's going
on? Newly married. When I say newly, I mean just 2 years. Dated for 5 years. My husband had a dog prior to me dating and then married, and the dog is a pitbull, and while she's sweet with us, she is not good with children, and I am not able to have my grandchildren sleep over at our house.
And so what does your husband say about that? What's his position on that?
Well, what happens when I bring the subject up is it becomes this, I start feeling guilty because he says, oh, it's all my fault, I'm messing up, I'm not a good husband, and he doesn't want to get rid of the dog. That's the long, short story there. I think we need to get rid of the dog because we've taken her through training, but mostly because I think my husband's personality lends itself to the fact that he's not in authority over the dog, and she needs authority.
Okay. I'm just going to let Milan start us off here because this is. Okay, don't. Here's the thing. Trainer. If there is anything standing in the way of you having your grandchildren in your home, your grandchildren must have priority over a dog. And the dog can go to the kennel.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say in the short term.
Whatever. But I'm going to tell you something. There are just certain things that need to be respected, and that is your love of your grandchildren. Your grandchildren need you. And yeah, so now, Jill, Milan, you're because that's my thought. Is just it shouldn't even be an issue. Grandkids are coming. What are you going to do with that dog?
Well, this is a part of the preparation for marriage that wasn't negotiated prior to marriage. Mm-hmm. If he's had this dog prior, we have these assumptions that you're accepting me as I am. Everything that I got. My dogs, my kids, whatever.
Your kids, yeah, of course.
And to a lot of people, their dog is a very special relationship. And I really am saddened that when you talk about the pit bull, your husband says, well, see, it's my fault. Mm-hmm. I'm to blame. And I'm sort of putting together that you think he sort of operates in a victim mode or role, that he's not strong enough to take care of the dog, or he's not in the authority over the dog. But I think I would make sure he understands this isn't about him, and that it is his dog, and then you didn't realize what was going on and how dangerous ultimately the dog would be. Pit bulls are dangerous, and they're temperamental, and I wouldn't want my grandkids around them. No,
and there's a reason that when we go to the Humane Society, I would say 80% of the cages have pit bulls.
Oh, is that right?
Wow.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's just because of our area here. I would start the conversation like this. Honey, I've been thinking about this. We've gone around and around. I'm so sorry we didn't cover this before we were married. Yeah. I'm so sorry. But I'm going to ask you to honor my love for my grandchildren. And I'm going to ask you to find a kennel that dog can stay in. And I never want to have to worry that if I ask the grandkids to come, that you're going to make an issue of it. It's just they come, dog goes to the kennel that you pick, so that we can take this off the table. To me, that's really the outcome we're looking for.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Really glad you're with us here today, and hope and pray that you can help us deal with the tough issues of life. And, for Sue, I'm going to send her the 7-minute marriage solution, 7 things to start, 7 things to stop if you really want to have a great marriage. Too bad we don't have how we love our dogs, because that guy needs some help in putting things in perspective. Dog spelled backwards is God, and he's made the dog his God. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Let's go over here to Julia, Lake Tahoe, California. KFIA. Hi there. How are you?
Hello. I don't want to get too wordy and why I'm calling, and I'm calling on behalf of my daughter and her husband.
Okay.
And my question is, after I give you a little bit of background, do my husband and I stay out of my daughter and son-in-law's marriage issue right now?
Yes, but go ahead and tell us what it is, though. But what is the big issue there?
Okay, now I'm gonna fill it in.
Okay.
My daughter was raised a Baptist, and when she met her husband, it's both their first marriage. He's 37 now, and she is 33, and they have 2 children, a 1-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. They have been married for 10 years, I believe, since 2011. And she was raised a Baptist. He is from Monterrey, Mexico, and he came here. They met each other in college. He was going to the Potter's Fundamentalist Church out of Globe, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And so they speak in tongues. And she started researching that because their whole life has become dedicated to this Potter's Church.
Okay,
and
so we get it. I get it.
Their whole week.
Okay, so she doesn't like
want to go to church anymore.
Okay, all right. So what is the conflict?
No.
She doesn't want to go with him to that church, right?
And she hasn't been. And
okay.
He said, had he known this in the beginning, he would have never married her. Now, all they did was court from like the 1700s, where you don't touch the hand, not even see each other.
Yeah,
sit on one side of the church, sit on the other, and she does not want to raise her children that way.
Right.
And so, do we he doesn't have any family here. He's a very, very honorable, he's just a sweetheart, and I will miss him.
What do you mean you'll miss him? What do you mean you'll miss him?
I will miss him if he's not around and my daughter decides this is it, because she's giving him an ultimatum. You need to alter your schedule a little bit because it's taking up 7 days a week, and my children.
Here's what I think.
She works.
Okay. Here's what I think you ought to do.
I need to take a breath.
Yeah, you do. So here's what I think you ought to do. I'm always telling our hosts that people call for solutions, and we don't want the first thing to talk about our intensives as being a solution. We want to give you real advice. But since this is your daughter and her husband, I would give them a Christmas present to go to our intensive, our marriage intensive in February. And if you could just, I went to a conference because my parents paid for it. If they hadn't paid for it, I wouldn't have gone. But if you could just get them there, we would help them to the best of our ability, work them out. And so then you literally could say, or your daughter could say, I did everything I could do to get him to understand, this issue. But I don't think an going from, I married you to here's the ultimatum over church is a very smart idea. Jill, what are you thinking here? How would you help her with her daughter?
Well, Julia, I'm sorry. This is so hard, and it's so painful to watch your adult children going through things, right? Because you're seeing kind of the whole picture, and they're smack dab in the middle of it, and it's hard to see because they're at an impasse. And so both are holding, kind of a stake in the ground as to, like the cross to die on.
Oh, yes.
Right? So I really like the idea of the conference because Steve's right. Like, this isn't a divorce issue, right? This is symbolic of all the issues that they are struggling with. But this is each person trying to hold on to themselves in this relationship. I would let them know that you and your husband are available if they want to bounce things off of you. I would just invite them, but I would not intrude upon. Right? And I would...
Yeah.
And I would encourage them to get help because they're not able to see it in and of themselves. They're not able to see the solution, so they need some sort of ongoing help to sort through this. Yes.
Her husband thinks that their pastor of the church is the all-knowing, all-advisor, and no one else.
Yeah. Well, that's a really sad and spiritually immature view. And when we come back, I'm just going to tell everybody where this courtship process fell apart and why it's kind of the opposite of the way courtship was when the courtship method was used.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay in the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you a set of 4 devotionals, 100 Days of Character, Peace, Prayer, and the newly released 100 Days of Healing. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and really sad that your daughter fell into this whole system of dating because, back in the old days, they would do a courtship process which really kept them from getting involved physically, but that was so they would fully know and understand each other before they were married. Mm-hmm. And your daughter married a stranger.
Right.
And that's just sad. And
yes, she did.
Yeah, and so, but she's the one that chose that for some reason. And just as he's turned his whole life over to Mr. Minister, she just turned her whole future over to him. Mm-hmm. And now we have to see her be able to see that they both have something in common and try to find some common ground to get to a place where this marriage could survive and then thrive. So I'm going to send you How We Love. I would love for you to read that and see maybe how your daughter just kind of gave up all the common sense, stopped listening to that voice inside that she's got, that every woman has, and fell into this because this is very, very, very sad. Mm-hmm. And hyper-spirituality is not spirituality. Hyper-religiosity isn't. And there's a word called pathocracy, where a pathological person runs something. And when a pathological runs something, they want everybody to be under their control and make all their decisions based on what they think, not anybody else. Milan, your thoughts?
Well, there's one other issue, Julia, which is your son-in-laws need to have a highly authoritative person give him direction or guidance, or he's insecure enough that he needs this strong patriarchal authority over him, which means that there is something in his history as we go back that there's perhaps a deficit, perhaps there is hurt, perhaps there is abuse, and so he's seeking safety and shelter. There's always a backstory on this, Julia, as to why that kind of a need for an all-knowing mentor guide, an Obi-Wan Kenobi of Christianity. He tells me how to do everything, you see.
Right, because I don't have it in myself.
I don't have it in myself, Jill, to know what to do. So I need somebody to tell me what to do. And a lot of people from chaotic backgrounds seek highly rigid structures, and the healing journey is about him coming to grips with his highly chaotic history.
Well, and I'm wondering about, Julia, about your husband also spending some time with him. Right?
Good advice.
Moving toward him in relationship and hearing him and talking through things and wanting to know things about his past. I think that would be important.
Just
we have talked about that, my husband and I, and we have not moved forward on anything because we're just praying about it, and then I wanted to call you because
I'm glad you did.
I really value your advice. I've been listening to you for at least 40 years now, and I'm a partner in your ministry, and it's like when I think of husbands, I think of you two men or your men folks that are on your program just
they're
seem
the
like
best.
a wonderful husband, and the women seem like they're just wonderful women and marriage partners, and that's, you just go, oh my God, no, this isn't happening to my daughter. And the husband was raised Catholic, and he was raised in the Catholic by his nanny. That's in Mexico. That's who raised him.
So I think Jill's putting you on to some good advice here about husband.
Yeah, it's
don't
not
give
meddling.
Up. And then moving out of the praying and into the advice giving. But I want to tell you something, and I'll send it to you. You may not have it, but Take Your Life Back. My wife and I are teaching this at our church, and last night, here was what we were saying. When you get married, you still have to be the decider in your life. You don't you don't mesh into one person. Two become one flesh. That's physical, sexual. And that doesn't mean you just give up your identity. You've got to be the decider. You've got to be the defender of your value, is the second D there. You're the one that has to develop the good things in your life, not waiting for somebody else. And that's when you do those things, God becomes the director, not anything else. Not your pastor, but it's God's the director. But if you don't defend your value, make the decisions, and develop the good things for your life, see, you don't have any boundaries. You're out there like a city with no walls. And that's what's happened here. And I'll send this book to you to give to her. I think she'd really like that section. And we will pray for you. And really, really sorry that he fell into a situation where people believe you need to be at church 7 days a week, and the pastor decides everything. Well, let me just say this. This is why we're here, is trying to keep people on track with theology that is based on the true truth, not manipulative, not with some agenda other than what God has. Let's go to, how about we go to Diane from Dallas, Texas, listens online. Hi there. How you doing?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I'm sorry I missed part of the previous caller while I was chatting on hold a little bit. Sounds like I could have benefited from some of that.
Well, what's going on in your life?
I'm also calling about my daughter, but she's single, seeking some resources or a way to help her. I've read Milan and Kay's book, or I'm almost done reading that. She's involved off and on with a vacillator victim. I now have labels for that, thanks to you guys, who is an alcoholic. And I think
how old is she?
She's 26.
Okay.
And I think she's, hoping that someday, he'll come to his senses, or she'll offer the right cure and remedy. And I don't know how to convince her otherwise. And, of course, that affects her attitudes and lifestyle and
well, and Diane, if she feels like you're trying to convince her out of the relationship, she's going to probably cling to it more strongly, right? Versus
absolutely.
Right. Versus just dialoguing with her about what she likes about him, what she thinks about his, their life, just getting her to verbalize out loud what she's really thinking. Because a lot of times you can see where someone thinks to a point and they don't think beyond that. Or she's living off of the potential of what he can be versus who he is today.
Or the potential of what she wants him to be.
Oh, yes.
What she idealizes him to be.
Yes, yeah.
Right, and she's verbalized that. She said, when he's sober, he's great. And when he's not, he's horrible. And unfortunately, there's just not enough geography between them to keep them separate. And she hasn't moved on to meet other men. I think she's sought counseling for herself, but made it to one whole appointment. And she realizes that she needs counseling too, but she's not pursuing it. And I've tried to be as objective as possible and encourage her. I've told her, when you're not as involved with him, you have a more positive outlook. You're not as irritable with me, for one thing. You seem to be taking better care of yourself.
Diane, I'm going to suggest something that is a little different. She should be going to Al-Anon.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Because
I totally agree.
She is functioning in that codependent relationship, and she'll be around a lot of people and other individuals who will look at her and say, "What? You mean you're thinking of marrying this person?" Because they'll help her see that she's enabling and that she's living in a non-reality base here.
And you could encourage her by saying, it seems like you have leaned into this relationship. This is where you're at. So I think you should really learn how to be with this man, right? How to be with this man who's a functional alcoholic. And so Al-Anon would be the perfect place for you to learn how to coexist with somebody like this.
It's just reality that people that are in relationships with alcoholics go to Al-Anon. So I agree. But I wouldn't suggest that she go. I would say, hey, let's go. Because if you're going to be with this guy, then I'm related to him. Now I've got to deal with this now. He's coming into the family. So
I want to learn about it.
We gotta tackle this head on, and this is how we do it. So take it from there. We'll be back right after this.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here. Really glad you're with us. And if you want to join us for the second program, well, it's 1-800-229-3000. Our last caller for this show is going to be Leanne, but then we'll come back and we'll do another program. So hang on if you're on there. Let's talk with Leanne. Leanne, how are you today? Calling from WAVA.
Hello?
Hello. Yeah, hi. How are you doing?
doing great. I have a question. I have a family conflict, and I have invited all of my family over for Thanksgiving. I'm really excited. But there's one person I did not invite because he's particularly toxic to me. Mm-hmm. And my sister asked me, well, why have you not invited my son? And I stalled and said, I need to get back with you. And my internal conflict is he is family, and I should be forgiving and loving and all of these things. And at the same time, I just moved to this house, and I feel very safe and warm and fuzzy. And I'm like, how much conflict do I want to invite to my home? And when I brought this up to my sister, I said, I don't want to invite conflict. And she's like, well, there's not going to be conflict. But
was there conflict in the past?
Yes. And right now my sister is in she has custody of his 4 children. And so there's conflict within their household, but there's been conflict between us too. So
what's the question for us?
Am I just holding on to how I feel with this toxicity that I perceive for myself? Or am I setting a boundary? Or am I just not being loving as a Christian and saying, hey, we all make mistakes and yada yada? I think most of the conflict is me internally.
Okay. Let's see let's start with you, Jill. And
what's the current
really
situation? Just really in a nutshell, the current situation with this son. He doesn't have custody of his kids. Okay, go ahead.
He does not have custody of the kids. My sister has custody of the children. They're in court and out of court. They have another court date coming up in January. And for myself, he's stolen from myself and from my son, and it's just he's made some really bad choices. Is he a bad person? No.
Okay.
Is he
but is he using drugs? Is there any of that going on?
So.
Okay.
I think that he is, but everyone tells me that he's not.
Okay.
Or flaw. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna take what we've got.
Boundaries.
And help you
it sounds like you're kind of doing the safest boundary possible. If he is trying to better his life, and you're inviting everybody but him, I could see where that would be hurtful for your sister. Right? And so boundaries, sometimes we have to make boundaries according to the situation. Like a boundary would be, I want to invite you, but there's no using at my house. Or I want to invite you, but I still have some hurt from you stealing from me. Right?
Or if there's to the sister, I realize by not inviting him, this is going to be uncomfortable for you. And if you decide not to come, I totally understand. Because I don't want somebody in my house that has a history of stealing, doesn't have custody of kids. Milan, what's your thought here as we close up?
Well, I thought, Leanne, you said an excellent thing a few moments ago when you said, I don't know how much is inside me. And you said, I just moved into a house and where I'm warm and fuzzy and safe. So there's a part of me that wonders how protective and guarded you are. We're supposed to all have protection and guarding up and operative. But so I don't know how much is inside of you and how much conflict agitates and upsets you. And so there may be a sensitivity on your part. I am not ignoring the things you said about him stealing and his drug usage and the custody issues. I'm just also asking, what are your tolerances for people that fall outside the norms? And what are your tolerances for having a person over for a while who, in fact, is a loose cannon? And can you tolerate that? Or how much does it dysregulate you? And that's part of the question you have to ask. His danger versus my dysregulation.
Yeah. And how much support there is.
So using your best, maybe there's no right or wrong answer. It's using your best judgment the closer you get to, or whenever you feel like you've got to either invite or not.
Right, and how much family support there is on that day that would stand behind you if there were a problem, right?
All right. Hey, I'm really glad you called, and let me send you, once again, it's just so, I'll send you The Secrets Women Keep and How We Love, and it's just, there's so much insight in both of those, and I hope that they help, and I just hope, I mean, some of the things you say about him make me kind of be afraid to have him in my home, too, just saying that.
Yeah.
So, hope we got some good advice here. Speaking of good, here's a good man is in the studio, Larry Sonnenberg. Larry,
hey Steve.
We're getting close to year end here, and certainly month end here in November. Talk to us.
Well, a couple things. One is it is coming up to year end, and a lot of people save their giving for New Year end, and I would like to get our name out there and the thought in your head that your year end giving is being figured right now. Please remember New Life. And remember it for more than one reason. Remember it for, just the day-to-day stuff that we do. But think about going forward. Think about the new year. Think about the new generation. There's a lot of things we're going to do for a lot of years. And we just need your continued support. And I've got a closing thoughts from a man who went to Every Man's Battle a few months back. And this is why we ask your support, for people to have this kind of a life change. This workshop has been a great experience. For most of my life, I was ashamed of what I would do while alone. This weekend started with no shame, and it let me be honest with myself. It made me look at myself to see what I was pretending to be. Then I focused on what my actions have cost me mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. I had not realized that I was wounded, but held it in. That Satan had convinced me of the 3 I's. Jason speaks about incompetence, insignificance, and impotence. Those are 3 woundedness that most men have, one or the other. Right. This weekend gave me tools to combat the enemy, new brothers in Christ that will help me fight the war, and I realize now that God's grace is sufficient.
Amen.
And
that's why when you support us, then more men can go and get that kind of help and healing and restoration and go back in there and be what that family needs. What's our gift? It's our calendar, a gift of any amount. And joining Club New Life, what do we do for somebody that gives $30 a month? Besides, that's going to be
the thank you gift. There's 4 devotionals, the 4 that you wrote: 100 Days of Character, 100 Days of Peace, 100 Days of Prayer, and 100 Days of Healing.
And, those are great ones, and I hope and pray that you will prayerfully decide to give. A lot of people think that generous people give whenever they have the money to give. No, they give, and it's amazing how the money comes after the generosity. And you don't do it spontaneously. Really generous people plan, and then they follow the plan, and they live up to it. I hope that's what you're going to do. You call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you can help us. And if you need help, we have some amazing intensives coming up. Some great weekends where people transform their lives. And then if you want to join us for the next program, 1-800-229-3000. We love you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.